is up with the squad? It's your favorite Auntie and Uncle Tendencies. Y'all know what it is. We in the building. Y'all know what it is. Listen, we wrapping this series up too, y'all. We wrapping this one up. Welcome back, Cess Talk Sports in collaboration with BEWISE. Y'all know what it is. It's PoliSports Tea Time. And this right here, you already know this ain't your average hoops talk. Coming in the door, y'all. Coming in the door. Hit the like and the share. They both right there. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And let us know if you've seen episodes 5 and 6 already in the CBA Reckoning. This is CBA Reckoning episode 5 and 6. And this evening, we ain't just spilling the tea. Y'all know what it is. We finna flip this whole damn table over. We've been talking labor justice. We talking power. We talking policy. And we talking about a league that's been playing foul behind the scenes for at least 2 decades. Going on 3. Okay? Period. That's what we on. The WNBA is at a crossroads right now. CBA talks, they kind of stalled out, especially with the way everything showed up over WNBA weekend, right? All-Star weekend. They let us know that the offer that came back was a slap in the face. So what's really on the line? It ain't just money. It's the control of the labor, of the image, of the truth. Let's be all the way real. The prioritization rule ain't about structure. It's about punishment, gaslighting players, labeling passion as problems, and punishing the very women who built this league for daring to chase their bag. That's not a strategy. That's a system. Built to extract, then scapegoat. But here's the thing. Organized, unified, and unapologetically black labor, that don't fold. That reframes the whole damn narrative. So no, this ain't just another episode. This is a line in the sand. And I did it with the claps. And joining me in this, y'all know who it is. My truth telling, smoke bringing, power mapping moment. My partner in strategy and disruption. Give it up for Political Lil. Let's cook. What's up, Lil?
What's going on? And thank you, Auntie Cess. Let's break this all the way down. The WNBA isn't just navigating a labor dispute. It's standing squarely in the middle of a civil rights movement because labor rights are civil rights. What we're seeing is a collision of exploitative capitalism and structural racism. And black women are once again on the front lines. These aren't isolated league rules. These are systemic tools of control that mirror the broader American workforce. Penalize black voices when they advocate for themselves. Protect the ownership and profits under the guise of discipline and team culture. And then enforce policies like prioritization that strip agency by offering no pay equity. And it's not just unethical, it may be illegal. We're looking at potentially Title VII violations, labor law infractions, and even antitrust concerns. But here's what matters most. We need to give these young ladies a chance to secure pay. And what I believe has to happen, I cannot see them sitting at a table and adequate, negotiating. I think it's going to take a court battle, or at least arbitration, in order to get a fair deal. And I want to explain something quick before we get into this. When you're talking about getting paid, how many of you all go to work and ask your company, what was your profits and loss before you pick up your check? Or how many of you all would go to pick up your check and let the boss say, we didn't get no profits, we had some losses, so I ain't gonna be able to pay you? That's not how it works. People keep coming out with all these different terminologies and various valuations and this, that, and the other. You get paid from revenues that come into a business. The profits are not for you. The profits are for the risk that the owner takes. So we need to understand that as we continue this labor battle, and as we, as fans, attempt to advocate for these players. Go ahead and take it away there, Auntie Cess.
Let me say this, because Lil being nice. I'm going to say this. We see y'all out there. And we want the conversation around what's going on in the WNBA. We want it pushed out there. And Lil being nice. Y'all know me, I ain't so nice. I get right to it. Y'all know who I am on site. So here it is. Some of y'all out there using our terminology, using our content, not giving no credit. Get a credit. We don't care about you using the content. But get the credit. We'll work hard as hell doing this research. Y'all wasn't out here calling them sharecropping. Y'all wasn't out here talking about sharecropping in Jersey. I wasn't out here even caring about this here fight right now. We just started talking about something. Y'all pushing it out there and the show on. Don't do that. Give the credit where the credit is due. We want to be in this fight together. Don't divide this thing. We can all work together, but at least give credit. That's all I ask. Get the credit out. Get the credit. Lil work hard as hell. Doing this research, putting this stuff together. Like, give the credit where the credit is due. I'm gonna say that, and then let's move on. But for real, like, hashtag respect our game, and let's do this all together. Let's do this all together. I decided to get that out, Lil. Okay, but let's get into what tonight's really about. Because it ain't just a sports story. It's about power and participation, period. This moment, it ain't just about the W. It's a blueprint for what labor, justice. Oh, thank you, KS. Thank you. We'll work hard getting these details together. It's a blueprint for what labor justice should look like everywhere. So the real question, are you just a fan of the game, or are you a damn advocate for the women who built it? Russell, only bringing facts to the chat over there on Instagram. What's up, fam? Want to say what's up to everybody on LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Facebook, wherever you tuning in from. Run them likes up, and then jump over here on YouTube and run the likes up. Help us push this out in the algorithm. But visibility without voice, that's exploitation. And branding without bargaining power, that's just slavery wrapped in a fresh jersey. So we ain't playing passive no more. Right? We can't be passive no more, Lil. We got to launch this hashtag respect her game campaign. And that's a fan-fueled, athlete-aligned movement demanding just labor, fair media coverage, and real policy accountability. We're not waiting on brands to fix what they broke. We ain't begging for inclusion. We're pulling up, applying pressure, and flipping culture from the inside out. This movement, it don't start with headlines. It starts right here. It starts with us. So I got a question for the audience. I got a question for the audience. Really, are you just a fan, or are you an advocate? Let me know in the chat. And Lil, for you, we've talked about how this labor fight is a civil rights fight. So what legal policy or cultural levers should fans and advocates be pulling right now to push for justice in the WNBA, and how will that help in the CBA discussion?
Well, we need to demand transparency in league finances. That's the main thing. We have to push for independent audits and challenge the antitrust practices, like trying to block Unrivaled from the CBA talks, or make it a condition of doing a CBA. And culturally, we must uplift Black women's labor, call out the media bias, and hold sponsors accountable for where their dollar goes. And we need some of these brothers out here in this media to do their research and stop talking about what women deserve, especially when you got your paycheck in your pocket. I just think that's disingenuous for these men to be out here commenting when we don't have open books. The books have been closed for 27 years, and then they keep talking about the losses. If you've never seen the financials, you can't tell whether a person lost. You haven't seen any of these people income statements from these teams. Nobody publicizing what revenues they're bringing in. And like I said, I've never heard of an employee. Now, I might be wrong, but I've never heard of an employee being paid based on whether the owner made a profit or whether he sustained losses. Because I would love to see you all work for 2 weeks and go to get your check and let the boss man tell you, "Oh, I didn't make a profit, so I'm not gonna pay you."
Not just tell you. Put together a PowerPoint. Get you together.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody come in the room. Everybody come on in here. Let me tell you something. You ain't got no money coming because you ain't made me no money. Now, I worked in corporate America enough to know that when bonus time come up, they say bonuses is going to be based on how well the company does. We make a profit, we hit a certain profit, then we pass that on to the employees. But your base salary is your base salary. That comes to you, win, lose, or draw. That direct deposit supposed to hit. Now, benefits, all of that stuff.
Records deposition service.
Look,
9.1 miles away on West 11 Mile
Echo.
Road.
Stop. No, nobody else. Nobody asked you. Just always wanted to tune in. That money supposed to come to you. That base salary is supposed to come. But I'm asking the chat too. How can you join the push for player power? What would a fan-led movement for labor justice in sports actually look like? And are we ready to build it? Are you really ready to stand up for your favorite athletes? And this ain't just in the WNBA, but it starts there. It definitely starts there. But let's connect the dots a little bit more, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's the thing. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. You got to leave this over 80% Black women. But somehow every major decision, salary cap, overseas restrictions, media silence, hits them the hardest. That ain't bad management. That's systemic exploitation dressed up in league policy. I purchase from players directly, so no jerseys, for example. I got you, KS. That I love it. Got to start at the beginning, picking all it up again from the decades after I left it all behind in college. Well, not only that, I had broke up with the WNBA, so I understand that. Purchasing directly from the players. That's number one. But Lil, the way that this structure moves, it don't just ignore the Black women, it penalizes them. And that's where I think we get into, like, is it a court case or not, the legality of it, because it penalizes them for being the very backbone of the game, which is wild. Here's where it stops being just a labor issue. It slides straight into civil rights territory, though. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. Y'all gonna get tired of us talking about that, but you need to understand what it requires. You can't discriminate based on race or gender in employment. So why does a league built by Black women keep creating policies that punish Black labor? The WNBPA doesn't just need sports attorneys. They need civil rights lawyers. And maybe the Department of Justice needs to pull up. The Department of Justice may need to pull up. The patterns start looking like policy. That's not shady. That's legally actionable. So this ain't just a labor moment for the dub. It's a national reckoning on what labor justice looks like when Black women are at the center. We're not asking for the crumbs anymore. We're demanding the whole meal with equity on the damn plate. The CBA, it ain't about minor tweaks. It's about reclaiming ownership, protecting legacies, and demanding the damn respect that's long overdue. Pay us what you owe us. And the fans, the ones behind the paywall, in the comments, on the front lines, we got to ride for them. Loud, relentless, uncompromised. If we don't, the system will keep rewriting the Black women out of the story they author. Not on our watch. Political Lil. The way the dub is structured, the salary caps, the travel rules, overseas play, feels intentionally limiting. How should the players frame this fight beyond just sports contracts and start positioning it as a civil rights and labor movement? How should they start framing that?
You know what? The players, they must reframe this as a fight against structural exploitation, not just for better contracts, but for dignity, safety, and equity. See, this is a labor discrimination which is both genderized and racialized roots, and positioning it within the broader context of a civil rights legacy, it gives it a historic and moral weight that it deserves. And this is why when Elizabeth Williams came back and said that this was a slap in the face, then it means that they're not willing to move off the model 1 inch. And so power concedes nothing without a demand. So you have to get in the courts, demand the books be open, and then from there it can be enforced. The corrections can be enforced within the context of civil rights. And I think that needs to be the move, because with such a tight timeline, October 31st, I believe, is the closing of this. I just don't see them willing to say, hey, we see the improvement, the league is growing, and we're gonna, be fair and open the books. They're not gonna do that, so you'll have to push. And I think if the fans join in, millions of fans join in and demand they get paid BRI which is basketball related income based on what they are bringing in. Now, I asked them for no $30 million contracts and all that. They're not bringing in $20 billion a year like the men are. But even with the 200 million, you could have got a better split than some 9.3%. I just thought that was
they ain't even
pretty
get
outrageous.
10%. They ain't even get 10%, Lil.
Right, and then you got to split that between 144 people. What they come out to about, I think 100-some thousand each. It's just not no money, and it's not gonna make the players be able to generate any generational wealth off their labor, and that's the whole concept behind your labor, is to be able to create generational wealth from your talent, your skills, and your gifts. And so it is a structural problem, because the structure is the way that the CBA is set up, and it's set up with too many hidden entities. Like they say, okay, well, we gave you this because of the based on the growth projection. Yeah, but you never tell me what the growth projections are. You got that hidden. I'm telling y'all, go on YouTube and watch a film on sharecropping. When you finish, you'll find out that this sounds just like it. Because that's kind of what it is. In the sharecropping model, the boss told you whether you made money or not, and you never made money. He would always tell you was in debt. And this is kind of the same thing they keep telling them. Well, you didn't meet all the growth projections. How do I know if you never let me examine first of all, if you never tell me what it is, and I don't see how they got away with even setting it up like that. And then the second thing is, I never get to see the book, so I don't know how.
The people are just so happy to have a league. Whatever you say, but we got a league. I can be a pro basketball player. Well, they didn't know. And you coming in at the ground floor. You coming in at the ground floor, and it's a whole bunch of promises, and everybody, this is going to be an equitable league, and this is for us, and it's going to be for families. It was going to be all of these things, and then the conversation stopped, and they weren't held accountable for what they said they were going to do when they started the league.
Yeah. Woo. But I mean, so, you could course correct now. You got to course correct now. Got to have some integrity, and sit down and say, okay, I don't want to be New Edition, and you done went out here and made millions on the concert trail. Then I'm pulling you up to the projects, to let you off after the tour is over. That kind of stuff got to stop.
Shoot, Mary was in the projects for a minute. They was jamming her records. She was in the projects.
I mean, it's absurd, really.
It's 156. You'd be surprised, right? You'd be surprised at the number of people who, you would think that it looked like they got money, but they don't. So let's get to the root, because this ain't just a game. The WNBA, it's a labor site. It's a battlefield, and a damn case study in the lease. And how systemic discrimination shapes, shifts, and survives right under the mask of progress. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title VII, makes it illegal to discriminate in employment based on race, sex, or gender. So y'all riddle me this. How is a league that's 80% Black women still managing to silence their voices, reward white femininity, and retaliate against anyone bold enough to challenge the system? Let's be all the way honest. When the lion's share of marketing dollars, sponsorships, and media protection all orbit one white player, while legends like Asia, NECA, rising stars like Angel, Rakia get branded as Dejanay, get branded as disrespectful, emotional, hard to market. That ain't about optics. That's about power. That's gatekeeping, and that's about a league using coded language to protect its image while exploiting the labor that built it. And let's not act brand new. This ain't exclusive. This isn't exclusive to the dub. This is America's labor model. From nursing floors to Fortune 500 boardrooms, Black women have always been the backbone while being told to be silent, grateful, and compliant. Now, look at the league. Fined for chasing bags overseas. Shamed for speaking up. Told the visibility should be enough. Like clout pays rent or covers the daycare. You can't go in there. Don't get me started on the clout. What if this isn't just shady? What if it's illegal, y'all? What if the league's entire infrastructure, from unequal scheduling, subpar travel, media blackouts, public smear campaigns, isn't just unethical, but a straight up Title VII violation? It's time to stop playing small. We don't just need sports lawyers. And why ain't the sports lawyers lining up? Where they at? We need civil rights attorneys in the room, because this ain't about who starts or who scores. This is about a system of control being passed off as progress. So to y'all fans that's still on the fence too, come on now. Let this be clear. This ain't a side issue. This is the issue. This ain't a sidebar. This the problem. Because when you stay silent in the face of injustice, you're not neutral, you're complicit. Hashtag respect our game ain't a slogan. It's a warning. It's a movement. It's the line in the sand. Why is Sophie Cunningham on the roster? Oh gosh. Hold on, Professor Golden. Why is Sophie even on the roster? Okay. Let's talk about it. Tell me what angle you coming from there. In the meantime, audience, what role can you play in holding the league accountable? But as advocates for justice in the workplace, not just as fans, but as advocates in the workplace. And Lil, what would it look like for the WNBPA to take legal action under Title VII? And what kind of precedent could that set for other women's sports?
You know what? If the WNBPA pursued legal action under Title VII, they challenging racial and gender discrimination in hiring, promotion, and compensation, especially in coaching, executive leadership, and even these travel conditions. This wouldn't just be about equal pay. It would force a reckoning with how systemic racism operates within progressive sport league. A successful case could blow open the doors for similar action even in the NCAA women's sports, soccer, gymnastics, and others. And it will force these institutions to be accountable, for their intersectional inequities, that Black women have to face. And not just as athletes, as workers, period.
So, do you think the labor movement in the WNBA could inspire broader solidarity across industries, like especially among Black women workers beyond sports?
You know what? The way Black women are under attack, I would say absolutely. See, what's happening in the W is a microcosmic of what Black women experience across all the labor sectors. They're undervalued, they're underpaid, and they often are overexploited. And if the WNBA players organize and demand ownership and force some systemic changes, it could create a powerful cultural signal. And then Black women can and will, they could lead other, labor justice fights. But this could ignite solidarity across education, healthcare, entertainment, the tech industry, where Blacks are also they navigating the same toxic hierarchy. And the W can be a spark for a larger movement that redefine what worker power looks like when it's led by Black women. I mean, this is there's change everywhere, and it's not just in women's sports. It's happening in the NFL with what's going on with Shador and the Black quarterbacks. So we're just seeing this in this political climate. It's a form of resistance. So I absolutely believe that we could, this could go across every sector, just like they're attacking us across every sector.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, I see KS, you saying, aside from arguing with the idiots in the chats and the comments, I'm open to suggestions about how else to support athletes. Well, it starts with, buying directly from them, helping push content like this out so that they know that we're aware. Really get ready to follow our hashtag respect our game campaign. We got a website coming up. We'll be giving some information on how to help, how to organize, creating some content and some postings that you can put out there. Game attendance. We'll be coming up with a whole list of actionable things that we can do. Okay, so let me see. Okay, she was having a relationship with the owner when she was in Phoenix. She was named in a lawsuit. Yeah, I saw that. Phoenix moved on from that. Phoenix, like, we still hooping. I don't know. I didn't go all the way in depth there, but I did hear something about she was in a relationship with the owner. Is that illegal in the WNBA? I don't know. Cunningham was exposed by an employee who filed a lawsuit involving Brittany Griner. Stories there. If it were a black player, she would have been shunned. Okay. I get some more information on the Sophie Cunningham case. I didn't dig deep into it. I thought that she was in a relationship with the owner. It came out, and they quietly moved her somewhere else, away from the owner, so she couldn't break up a happy home. But I do some more research on it, Professor Golden. Game attendance also. Okay. I want to make it plain. Like, Title VII of civil rights, it don't come with asterisks. It ain't no fine print. It's loud and clear. No employee shall be discriminated against based on race, sex, or gender. Y'all probably tired of hearing me say that, but that's what it is. That ain't symbolic. That's the law. So when black women who make up over 80% of the WNBA are passed over for sponsorships, targeted with selective enforcement of league policies, and penalized for chasing fair pay overseas, that's not a PR issue. That could be a civil rights violation. We're talking about a league that silences dissent, curates image control, and uses punitive discipline to maintain control over the very players who built it. It's not illegal, however, it validates what you guys are talking about, the double standards of how athletes are portrayed. I'm a historian. Oh, I love it. Yeah. I love it. This ain't labor. This ain't just labor suppression. This is a Title VII case waiting to happen. Where are the civil rights attorneys? Why are they jumping all over this? Women's sports don't generate as much money as men's sports do. That's it, period. In the story. If they keep poking the bear, they're going to work themselves right into a pay cut. Oh, Ozzie Crosby, we ain't even talking about that. You just wanted to come in here to say something. Black women didn't build the league. You're not a victim. Then who built the league, Ozzie? Who's playing? Who been playing for 28 years? Oh, I'm here for it today. I got time today. Would you like me to drop the link so you could come up and talk, Ozzie? I'm happy to have you up. Be prepared to show your face and tell us who your team is and how long you've been watching hoop. Let me know if you want the link though. The black players need to get on code and take care of black business first and final, period. So how do you suggest they get on code and take care of black business first and final? No more. What are you suggesting something different than what you doing? I haven't called anybody a racist, Ozzie. You came in here putting words in my mouth. I called the system racist, but it's the same system that this country was built on. This country was built on a racist plan that is systemically baked into all of the systems that make up how this country runs. And that was the perfect time to have a conversation with real people who want to move away from racism of all colors to get that out of the system. But again, would you like to? I'm happy to give you the link to come up to talk. Let me know. But you got to do better than just calling me a racist. But back to what we were talking about, because I think right now, the black women in the dub, they're done playing nice. They're not asking for the seats at the table. They building new ones, new rules, new structures, new movements. Look how they move. Here's what ties it all together. From the WNBA to Euro leagues to grassroots organizing on U.S. soil, this exploitation is on a global scale. Even louder than the oppression, the resistance, though. Unions are forming. Pay gaps are being challenged. Whole new leagues are being launched by the very women the system tried to erase. This ain't just a CBA negotiation. It's a full-on revolution in motion. And the terms of engagement, they're being rewritten by the ones who've been exploited the longest and fought the hardest. So what makes this more than a moral issue is that these cases across the WNBA, NWSL, college sports, international soccer, they set precedents. These are the blueprints for how Title VII can be used to challenge racial and gender-based discrimination in sports, how player organizing can trigger structural change, and how fan and media advocacy can support labor justice movements from the outside. It's not optics, it's legal strategy. When leagues penalize labor for speaking out, restrict economic freedom, and favor whiteness in visibility and marketing, they may be violating federal protections. And when you connect these patterns across sports, the case for systemic discrimination strengthens. Oh, stop worrying about everyone else. Never worry about us. No more fake allies. Finding comrades and fair weather friends. Auntie, enough said. Got you. Okay. Is it beneficial to approach this from a Title VII standpoint during this presidency? I'm not sure it would be more effective than the way the players are approaching it now. How do you feel like they're approaching it now? Because other than put those T-shirts on, what do you think they're doing? Besides keeping all the players on the same side, irrespective of race, keeps this coalition more stable for longer. But I'm not really sure. That's just how it looks from here. So here's the thing. Just because we're saying empower the Black women who helped build this league doesn't mean that we're asking for divisiveness. If you really stand with me and you understand what it is that we have going on here in this league and the systemic racism baked into it, and how we're playing in a league that's 80% Black, and I don't have a coach that looks like me anywhere in the league except one team. To me, people like Paige Beckers have spoke out about that and said we need to address these things. Even Caitlin in her what was it, Athlete of the Year speech talked about how the Black women needed to be honored and empowered. So here's the thing: when you talk about really fixing this, there's no way to fix it without talking about race. There's no way to fix it without getting to the race piece at the bottom of this. When you look at this, we had ownership that approached this league about being able to pay their $250 million to be able to be owners in this league as well. Everyone was turned down. Every minority private owned group was turned down. I didn't understand that. I think the players have a much longer timeline on their plan than what we've seen so far, but only the leadership, not every single player. And they may. This thing has to be wrapped up by October 31st, so we're probably looking at a work stoppage. How long can they stand for the work stoppage? I don't know. But what we want to do is let them know that we recognize the issue and we are standing with them. No, the shirts weren't last minute at all. The shirts were something that we've seen before. They did the shirts when they got Warnock elected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were intentional, right place, right time. But here's the thing. Remember back in COVID when Black Lives Matter? How long Black Lives Matter? About 13 months. And I said, remember when Black Lives Matter? Mm-hmm. Like past tense, and I meant it like that because remember all of the stuff that they was gonna do? All the advocacy, they had the shirts, they had the sayings, they was doing panels, they was doing all of that, right? They was gonna fix all of these things. How many new policies came out of that? Where's the minority path to ownership that they was gonna create?
Mm-hmm. I had an opportunity.
Where's the coaching symposium that helps minorities get into professional coaching in professional sports? Where's the cross-functional attack that they was gonna have on making sure that you didn't just have to shut up and dribble a ball to be a part of this here wealth building, generational building opportunity? You could be an executive or an owner or a scout or a recruit. Where's that? Where's the reach back into the community? I just told y'all I'm sitting in Detroit. It's 10,000 kids. They ain't got nothing to do all summer. But you're going to bring the Detroit Shock here in 29 to get more money. But our team, we've already tried playing. We're all together, and Black people always get burned, but everyone else gets what they want and get nothing. Just saying. I get that no more, Doc. And if we want to talk Black people, we can talk Black people. See, then if we're going to talk Black people, then we got to have a real conversation with Black people. And so, again, as I keep saying, my Black people, if y'all want to fix us, fix your house first. Have real conversations in your house about what's going on. Then fix your family. All them people that you won't talk to, and I don't talk to them, and don't call them, and I don't mess with so and so, and who gonna be there? Fix all of that. Get along with everybody in your family first. Then get along with everybody in your neighborhood. Then get along with everybody in your community. At least to a point where you show respect to each other. You ain't got to like everybody, but to a point where you show respect to one another. You want to get rid of the violence in your neighborhood? Know the people in your neighborhood, so you recognize the violence when it show up in your neighborhood. Call that bullshit out. See, we don't want to have a real conversation as Black people about how to fix what we got going on. So we can fix all of that, but we got to have a real conversation. So that goes back to my question about the male players becoming potential owners. Would they let Steph Curry purchase a franchise? They probably would. Would that help or hurt? It would help. It would help Steph. It didn't. It doesn't necessarily help the women in the league who should be able to, come back and own a piece of their league. Mm-hmm. We appreciate Steph, but Renee Montgomery shouldn't be the only former WNBA player owning a league, even though I believe that LeBron helped her get hers. I think private ownership definitely helps. Ownership that moves this league away from the NBA control definitely helps this league. Mm-hmm. But it also depends on, like you saying, KS, who would be the male athlete. Because sometimes they move like advocates and sometimes they don't. Steph seems legit. I hate that we're looking at a WNBA in 2025 that doesn't have a Kobe Bryant around. Because I think that the WNBA looks totally different in 2025 if Kobe is still living. Because you're talking about Gigi being in school now. You're talking about Gigi getting ready to go to the league. You're talking about Kobe having had his Mamba Academy, all of these years with young women coming through there. What does that look like? What does that level of talent look like? R.I.P. Kobe, exactly. But it makes me sad because I think he was one that was really like, yo, I can help move this thing forward. And you see other hoopers that are around, but it's nice for Steph to own something, but Cheryl Swoops can't own nothing. Katrina McClain can't own nothing. Candace Parker can't own anything. Maya Moore isn't, somebody that you want around this league. I love what the Washington Mystics are doing because I think Elena Deladon being in that front office is doing a lot. Yeah. These women being able to run their league based on how women run. The male support, and don't get me wrong, male support is dope. But I think I don't know that you can really take into account that the male locker room, they have a whole lot of similarities, but a whole lot of different. Totally different. But let's get back to this case for systemic discrimination. I think it strengthens. Will, given the consistent pattern of exploitation from WNBA to NWSL, how do you see Black women athletes leading a new kind of labor movement, and what makes their resistance uniquely powerful and politically urgent?
Well, Black women, athletes, they kind of uniquely position to lead a transformative labor movement because their struggles sit at the intersection of race, gender, and class exploitation. They've always had to navigate being the backbone of the league while being denied ownership, voice, executive positions, just full humanity. So when we look at, Aja Wilson's dominance on the court and, to Nafia Collier, co-ownership of Unrivaled, these are the people that are redefining what leadership looks like. And they not just participate, but they're creating new models. So their resistance isn't necessarily about just money. It's about autonomy, legacy, and reclaiming power for these institutions that have simply commodified them. And because Black women have historically been the moral compass and organization engine of social justice movements, their leadership in this space is not just powerful. I believe it's necessary to produce real systemic change.
Well, absolutely. And when you think about that prioritization rule, the more I think about it, it ain't even about structure or commitment. It's about punishment. If you don't show up when I want you to be here, then you can't play. But in the middle of the season, when I'm trying to make a run for the playoffs, because you showed up when I said you did, you can go to Eurobasket, you can go to America, you can go back home. You don't gotta come. You could come next year.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Taking up draft space.
Oh yeah, KS, you ain't got to anticipate. It is collusion by current NBA owners to keep everything in the old boys circle.
Mm-hmm.
Moving against them is a priority. That's why everybody was around here, woo, whistling, hand clapping, cheering about them three new teams coming on. That was 3 new NBA owners into the WNBA business. 3, but they passed on Jason Tatum being the owner. They passed on Candace Parker and Peyton Manning and Tim McGraw and them being the owner. They passed on another group being the owner. I can't think of who it was. It was Tatum. It was Tatum and Nelly. It was Candace. There was another group. I can't think of who it was. But yeah. They better make it the priority. They're gonna be locked out at the table. But these athletes get to a point, Lou, where they have to rely on overseas contract to make ends meet. It was no joke. When Candace really hit home when she was like, hey, the WNBA was my summer gig. Like, I laughed at first, but to think about that, like, we look at the WNBA like it is the be-all, end-all of basketball. That didn't even pay her bills. Her job was to go to China. Her job was to go to Italy. Her job was to go all of these other countries that she went to be able to make the money that took care of her family. And then the WNBA moving around here like they need to be the priority. Ain't that something? You ain't even made me a priority. Matter of fact, I'm not a priority enough that you would have me go to work. And if you don't make no money, I don't even get no money at the end of the day. And I'm supposed to just live with that. You ain't make me no money, so I ain't giving you no more money. I didn't make you the money that you wanted. But you damn sure made some money.
You paid yourself.
Exactly. Your checks hit. Your check, everybody direct deposit hit. That's wild. So when they come in and say choose loyalty or lose your livelihood, that's not a bad look. That's economic coercion. And from a legal standpoint, that could be a federal antitrust violation. Because when so-called independent contractors are blocked from securing outside income, that's not that's potentially illegal. I don't know how the WNBA expects anyone to prioritize them when they're set up during the least profitable time of year. And they probably won't or can't extend the season either. No. They don't want to be in a competition with NFL any more than they are, or college hoops. And they don't want to be in a competition with NBA playoffs any more than they are. They cut games. They didn't have no games on Monday because the NBA was playing on Tuesday. Ain't that crazy? They wild as hell. They got no games on Monday because the NBA was playing on Tuesday. Look, go back and look. They wild. But here's the twist: players ain't waiting for approval anymore. So they try to flip this damn model. Unrivaled came in, built by the players for the players, funded by Nafisa Collier, Breonna Stewart, and their investors. And they have a high list of diverse investors to the point that they told it that we ain't taking no more investments right now. But they giving up shared equity, and ain't no middleman, and they got full media control. That's a power shift. You will no longer profit off our silence or punish us for chasing freedom. And if every one of those players showed up was authentically themselves, every game, on, off the court, wherever it was at. While the WNBA's prioritization rule is about suppression, ownership without accountability, Unrivaled was liberated. It's leveraging its legacy. And that's where the game is headed, I feel like. Or that's where I want the game to be headed to. So it's about who finally gets to drive. I don't care how much the WNBA wants to protect their investments from a player perspective. I feel like I have a lot of freedom and control over my career. Right. Let me do my thing. I need that. That's what y'all want. So, Leo, I got, I always got questions for you. If prioritization is framed as a policy but functions like punishment, how should we redefine league loyalty through a Black labor lens?
You really can't expect that type of league loyalty. I mean, the bottom line is if you're gonna allow the players to be stuck with you for those 3 or 4 months, you can't tell them that the other 9 months they gotta sit there and go on food stamps and acquire welfare checks. You have to give them the freedom to be able to earn other monies. And I'm just so happy to see NIL come into play where they can leave college with some sense of security before going into the league and having to traverse an obstacle course like that. You can't. Work is not supposed to be punitive. I mean, you have rules, of course, but you don't have a policy that puts you in the poorhouse. At least you shouldn't in a workplace setting. So the only way you can redefine the loyalty is they're going to have to sit at that table, and you're going to have to give those players a piece of every revenue stream that they bring in. Because I haven't seen anybody buy an owner's jersey. If anybody have, you put it in the chat. I just haven't seen that. I haven't seen owners so popular that 20,000 people are sitting in the stadium in one of their jerseys. These women are bringing in the revenues, and so they should have a part of it. And until you sit down like intelligent people and divvy up those revenue streams, because there's a lot of revenue streams that come in, then you never gonna have any kind of justice. It's people gonna always feel like they being mistreated.
Oh, what a good question. Do we anticipate that Nike will start trying to apply leverage to their athletes on behalf of the NBA? No. Oh, the beauty of Nike. Let me tell you something about Nike. Nike gonna sell T-shirts for everybody.
Yes, they are.
Nike gonna have to pay them what they owe us shirts with the Nike check on them, and they'll figure out a way to sell. And they'll figure out a way to keep selling WNBA merchandise with Nike checks on them. Nike never has to choose a side. If you notice, Nike never chooses a side.
They choose that money.
Think about it. When Black Lives Matter, Nike was out there selling Black Lives Matter T-shirts. They was partnering with they people, and then they was still selling all the NBA stuff they were selling. But all they Nike checks on them. Nike get all the money. Nike gets all the money. They'll meet with their athletes, and then and they'll meet their athletes where they are, and they'll stay on brand with their athletes, and then they'll make the other shirts too. One thing about Nike get all the money. They stay green.
They stay cha-ching.
Hey, they stay cha-ching clean. You hear me? Nike don't miss no money. Is it time for athletes to treat these leagues as partners or as obstacles? Like, how does the Unrivaled model challenge the WNBA's monopoly on labor?
Unrivaled is a pure partnership. I mean, you have the players involved in all of the revenue streams. It's a beautiful thing to see. And yes, it's time for every league. It's time for us to leave colonialism behind, and to stop taking human beings and treat them like extractable property. So yes, it is time for these leagues to treat them as partners, because these young ladies want to grow the league. They want to explode it more. They want to bring in more revenue through their efforts, through collaboration. And you have to be more collaborative with your athletes. This is not the plantation. I understand sports was modeled off the plantation, but it's the 21st century. It's time to move along. So labor, you really don't want another labor war like y'all, that y'all almost had in the 1930s. It's really time for you have accumulated so much wealth at the top, and there's such inequality that you're gonna have a labor explosion across the board if you do not bring some type of fairness into the situation. So they want a partnership, and they have said that these players are looking for a partnership. They're looking to benefit from the streams of income, which are basketball related incomes, just like the males. The males are partners with the NBA. They like 50-50, 50-50 or 49% at the least. That's how you can get them $300 million contracts and $200 million and $100 million here, $80 million there. It's because they have a good CBA agreement that defines them as nearly equal partners. It might be a little expenses, here and there that the league have to take care of, but even with the league owning the stadium and assets that it owns, they still understand they cannot make $20 billion without that labor. And that's the same attitude that the WNBA is going to have to adapt in order to be fair to these players.
I agree. Nike, like y'all doing over there, we're gonna make a t-shirt and sell them. Whatever y'all doing, you better believe it. It's a t-shirt coming. Nike don't matter. Nike don't mind. But let's lay it out plain. What's happening in the W, it ain't about schedule integrity. That's the cover. The real play, control disguises policy. This player prioritization rule, that's economic coercion in motion. The rule ain't protecting the league, it's forcing a choice, financial survival or forced loyalty. And that kind of false choice, that's antitrust territory right there, y'all. Antitrust territory right there. I mean, think about that. Here's where it gets even messier. Now the players are flipping the script, though, and building new player-first ecosystems like Unrivaled with shared ownership and that media control. The WNBA is questioning if that ownership stake is a conflict of interest. If the league tries to weaponize the prioritization rule to block players from participating in their own league, that's labor suppression with civil rights implications. This fight ain't just on the court either. Activism ain't just for athletes. It's for fans, it's for media, and for every single person who benefits from the labor, brilliance, and culture Black women bring to the game. Oh, never vote for a monopoly, period. You better believe that. Silence protects systems, y'all. Protest dismantles them. You want to help shift power? Show up. Boycott exploited franchises. Flood media outlets with demands. Let them know. Start telling them, hashtag, respect our game. Open the books. Open the books. Open the books. Show us the money. Organize a riot hard for Black women in sports. Organize a riot hard for all of these women in sports. Because your voice, it ain't just noise. That's the leverage. We the ones that they putting the show on, folks. In this fight for power, ownership, and equity, the fans hold the receipts, and the system know it. As the WNBA moves to suppress Unrivaled under the guise of conflict of interest, Lil, what precedents does that set for player ownership across all sports?
It's a revert back to the plantation. It sets up a replica of the plantation model. Athletes now become property, and it could throw free agency out the window. Player movement, it could control the players' media, their social media accounts. It's already enough control as it is. That saying that's a conflict of interest, it'll be fascism in sports in actuality, and it would be an awful thing. You already see in NIL they trying to get some control, trying to roll back. How much money is made, how athletes move. They try to get some portal rules where you can't jump in the portal, 4 times to go after more money. Those type of measures of control are going to be fought against, because it's time for us to, as a nation, to change the system that built the nation and look for a system that can benefit the nation in the future. And that's all over the world. So you don't want to set that type. I don't think it's possible actually to set that kind of precedent, because I know if you even look that way towards those soccer women, you subject to get a bum rush. They're not going back to that type of plantation model. People are not property; they're people, and they should be treated with respect and dignity.
So this is where things move from unethical to potentially unlawful, right? Employers can be held liable not just for the intentional discriminations, but for unintentional policies that disproportionately harm protected groups. And that's the disparate impact we've been talking about. It's written all over the player prioritization rule. You don't need a smoking gun or a leaked email to prove discrimination. All you need is a pattern. Pattern is clear. Black women, international players, veteran athletes. These are the ones most impacted by prioritization rules. These are the players penalized for seeking livable wages outside the dub, while top-tier stars with marketing deals get the flexibility to stay. That's systemic harm, and it's ripe for civil rights investigation, y'all. The power is with the people. This isn't about basketball. It's about economic justice, gender equity, and civil rights. The athletes have been organizing. Now it's time for the fans to organize too. We're calling on letters to the league, WNBA front office, players union, or the governors. Support from Congress, starting with Representative Jasmine Crockett, urging DOJ Civil Rights Division involvement. A 1 million signature petition demanding equitable treatment, partnership and revenue, and end to retaliation. We need you to stand with us as part of the hashtag Respect Our Game movement. The W wants control, but they don't own the fans, and they sure don't own justice. What would it look like if fans treated labor and justice in sports the same way they treat missed calls or unfair suspensions? Could we shift policy with protest, Lil?
Listen, without no fans, you don't have no business. So yes, they have the power to shift policy, absolutely. But you have to raise holy hell. If the WNBA officers don't hear from you, if you're not flooding Kathy email, you're not out here visibly on every social media platform, calling for these women to be respected, to be treated right, and to stop this kind of injustice in sports, they're not going to move. Power does not move. It concedes nothing, as Frederick Douglass said, without a demand. The fans have to demand, and you can demand with your dollars. They don't want to play the empty stadiums. They don't want to stop selling their merchandise. They make so much money on merchandise. It's just ridiculous. And if you let them know that you will not spend one penny as long as these people are being treated, like they on a plantation doing some sharecropping, then you won't move. Every one of us have Congress people that we can write. You have a congressional representative. And, we're going to put a letter together to go to the Black Caucus and address all the females in the Black, female congressional people that are in the Black Caucus and tell we want this looked into. We don't want the media spin. You have to check the media. When they put out this, they lost $40 million. You have to tell people. I heard somebody talking last night. They lost $40 million. But you won't prove it, because I know you ain't seen the books. The players ain't even seen the books, and the books are not public. So you can't sit up there and tell me I'm not out here saying that they didn't lose $40 million. But you can't prove that they did, because you have not seen any financials. Those are private, not published. It's not like these corporations, where each year through the SEC filers, they have to file what they, revenues that came in and what they lost. And then please get your income statement. Get a financial income statement. Go online and find out what it is. Labor is not paid off of profits and losses. Labor is paid on revenue, and you have to know that, so that when people are trying to challenge you, well, they ain't made no money. So what? That ain't got nothing to do with you paying me my money for my work. You taking the risk of earning the profits. Therefore, if you don't make profits, then you take the risk of the loss. Not me, because that's not the portion of money that I'm going to get. So we definitely have to, unfair suspensions, how these officials are calling things against, black players, making it seem like they overly aggressive. I mean, a white girl be cussing them out too. This, that, and the other. You have to watch what you're doing, and the fans have to watch what you're doing. And we have to say something as fans when things are not just. And that's why, I do the research. I get on here with Cess and talk about it, because I'm passionate about basketball and I want to see these players treated fairly. That's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's make it plain. The WNBA is not just risking public opinion. They may be violating federal law. So it's four things that we talked about here. Disparate impact as it relates to Title VII. Black women are disproportionately impacted by policies like the prioritization rule. The league didn't need to put a target on their backs, but they did. And now they're being punished for working abroad to survive. That's disparate impact. And under the law, impact matters more than intent. Retaliation. When players speak out, build power, or dare to innovate with alternatives like Unrivaled, the league strikes back, trying to shut down Unrivaled while forcing it into collective bargaining negotiations as a conflict of interest. It's not just unfair. That could be retaliation, plain and simple. Antitrust violations. If the W uses CBA negotiations to suppress market competition from player-run models like Unrivaled, that's a potential antitrust violation. Collusion to limit economic freedom and player empowerment. The economic sharecropping and lack of transparency. The WNBA claims it's losing money, yet it refuses to open the books. Players generate billions in basketball-related income, but only get crumbs, 9.3%, while ownership signs billion-dollar media deals. That's modern-day economic sharecropping. Oh, and the fifth one I forgot, racial discrimination in media and marketing. White players are fast-tracked to visibility, press, and endorsements, while black athletes, despite carrying the league in performance and culture, are erased, villainized, or sidelined. The league's marketing deals are not equitably distributed, and that racial bias creates measurable disparate outcomes in career earnings and visibility. And let's be clear, I'm not saying that Caitlyn shouldn't have a deal. I'm saying that Asia should have a deal too. That Angel should have a deal too. That Rakia should have a deal too. That Peely should have a deal too. That Alyssa Thomas should have a deal. That Breonna Stewart should have a deal. Everybody, spread it out, spread the wealth, not just one.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, y'all, this is what we organizing for. If you're tired of the injustice, we're building more than awareness. We're building an advocacy machine. And here's what hashtag respect her game will be organizing. A petition of 1 million signatures demanding DOJ Civil Rights Division and EEOC investigation into WNBA practices. Congressional advocacy, starting with Representative Jasmine Crockett to open hearings on labor, race, and gender discrimination in women's sports. A mass letter campaigns to the WNBA front office, the players union, sponsors, and media networks. Legal research and policy pressure, exploring antitrust complaints, labor board filings, and Title VII claims. Public campaigns on social media at games to demand full revenue transparency, a fair share of BRI, end prioritization penalties, equal marketing for Black women, protection for unrivaled and player-led innovation. This is not a moment, it's a movement, and it starts with the fans. So here's what we know. They fear our power. When Black women organize, innovate, and monetize, the system scrambles to contain us. But guess what? Can't stop what's already in motion. We've exposed the blueprint, and now it's time to write our own.
Yep, every era has its reckoning, and this is ours. The WNBA can't run a league on Black excellence while exploiting Black labor. The fans hold the keys. So if you're watching, listening, or fired up like we are, don't just cheer, move, sign, share, organize. The power is within the people, and that means you.
So, fam, are y'all ready to help reach 1 million signatures to demand a civil rights investigation in WNBA policies? Let me see some dubs in the chat. If y'all help dubs in the chat, y'all ready to help us get to that 1 million, those 1 million signatures. Join the movement, fam. Hashtag respect her game. Ain't just a hashtag, it's a call to action. Don't just watch the fight, be in it. Share the hashtag, Support the athletes, push for policy. Pull back up next time because we're digging even deeper into the politics of labor. We're breaking down the current CBA, the right to unionize, and why this whole structure has been wobbling. Then we're tearing that CBA apart piece by piece, exposing the inconsistencies, calling out the damage to public perception, and laying out how a BRI model, basketball-related income, could be the blueprint to fix it. But we're not stopping there. We'll keep the politics of labor series rolling with a real conversation on player ownership, autonomy, agency, and equity, all leading to a vision of what a Black woman's sports economy could and should look like. So stay locked in. Y'all don't want to miss these combos. And if you're new here or missed any episodes of the CBA Reckoning, catch the full series now on the Cess Talk Sports YouTube channel. Until then, remember, sports were never just about the games we play, but the stories we tell and the systems we expose. This is Cess, your favorite Auntie with Uncle Tendencies, and my sister in this truth telling, structure, flipping, smoke, bringing movement, Political Lil. Y'all stay tuned. Talk soon. We out, y'all.